Hello, I'm Dan Genovese, Director of Consulting at EnerCom, and I'm joined today by Eyal Aronoff with Pioneer Energy. Pioneer Energy will be presenting at the Energy Venture Investment Summit at EnerCom Dallas, Tuesday, April 18th, 3:45 p.m. is their presentation. I want to encourage qualified investors to register for the conference. They can register at the website www.enercomdallas.com, and they can set up and have the opportunity to set up a one-on-one meeting with Eyal and his team at Pioneer to talk about their solutions for the oil and gas industry. Eyal, great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Dan, for having me.
You bet. Tell us a little bit about, and tell the viewers a little bit about Pioneer Energy and what you guys do.
So Pioneer Energy is a manufacturer of oil field equipment. We are located just west of Denver in Lakewood. We have a 45,000 square foot manufacturing and design facility for equipment. And we build equipment that its focus is eliminate emissions from oil production.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated by your technology because it solves a very important issue within the oil and gas industry, and that's fugitive emissions. And I know here in Colorado, we see them. We have air quality issues, and your systems. Tell me how they address them, and how they address the problem in terms of air quality.
Yeah, then so, we been in this field for a very long time. And one thing we realized is that the current infrastructure, the pad design, was never designed with the goal of eliminating emissions. It was designed with the goal of minimize the number of steps that it takes to separate between the gas and the crude. As a result, we have large numbers of sources of emissions in an oil field today. We have, of course, the crude tanks, we have the flare, the ECD, the emission control device. We have the heater treaters with their emission signatures. We have fugitive emissions. We have emissions from gas lift compression. So we have a whole family of emissions in the pad, at the pad today. And what we realized is that a completely different design is required. So we re-envisioned how an oil pad needs to look like, and we came up with one set of right now it's one skid that receives the wellhead fluid and does a one-step separation that separates cleanly the water, the gas, and the crude. And the crude that comes out of this system is completely stabilized. So even if it goes to a crude tank or a surge tank, there are no emissions that is going to come out of it.
Yeah, and that's a significant benefit for the industry. I know that you guys have done some analysis on, sources of emissions and types of emissions, and how does your piece of equipment address in terms of just percentage of emissions from a well pad? It's pretty significant if I'm not mistaken.
So we eliminate more than 90% of all point source emissions that are permitted emissions. We also eliminate large numbers of emissions that come from problems with evacuation, like gas evacuation problems, problems with maintenance. If your equipment on the field, we eliminate a lot of those as well. So we think that our measurement have shown that the emission reduction is more than 90%.
And from a cost standpoint, so if I'm a producer and I've been buying, this array of equipment for my well pad, what's the difference? I mean, do I have to spend a huge sum of money for your equipment to, not only do the processing that needs to happen, but also eliminate these emissions?
So then the answer to that, the short answer is no. Okay, our goal is to make it a kind of a one-to-one replacement where, whatever budget you have today per well, pretty much you can use this budget to implement the Pioneer Energy solution.
Yeah, and you get the benefit of emissions reduction.
You get actually two different benefits for emission reduction. You get reduction in what known as the conventional emissions like VOCs and NOx and so on. And now also you get emission reductions in methane emissions. So as a result, you get double whammy, double improvement, both emission reductions in what we call criteria pollution, or what the air permit today, as well as our system is already built to be completely compliant with the new Quad OB and Quad OC regulations from the EPA. So you get that already in, as well.
Okay, and your recovery rates. You guys are finding some interesting things about just the ability to recover the resource, and some of that is it's not emitted in the atmosphere. But tell me a little bit about the recovery aspect of your technology.
A surprising side effect of what we do is, we have a different ways to separate between the gas and the crude. It turns out that if your gas, that your sales gas is 1300, 1400 BTU, a portion of that gas that you are selling today to the gas midstream actually contains crude. So, basically what we saw is that the current separation technology has gas in the crude and has crude in the gas. Our separation technology is much more accurate. So we remove the gas from the crude, hence there are no emissions.
Yeah.
But we also remove some of the crude from the gas. As a result, we are seeing actually an increase in crude volume from the pad.
Yeah, so monetizing that, I mean, that's great for the operators, in addition to the emissions benefits. And now you're going to be down in Dallas again, April 18th, presenting, and you're going to be pitching for some capital to grow the company. Tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up for the day.
Yeah, so we now have a pilot project that we have done in Colorado, and I'm inviting everybody to come and see it. And again, get in touch with us, and we can organize a visit. And then, in addition to that, we are now raising some funds for working capital to buy those long lead items. We, like everybody else in this industry, is now struggling with supply chain uncertainty. We would like to reduce this uncertainty, and that's what we are raising capital for.
Now, it sounds fantastic, and it certainly sounds like the right solution for the oil and gas industry. Emissions reduction is paramount for our industry, and certainly additional recovery for the resource is a fantastic, side effect of employing good technology out on the pad site. Really want to encourage everybody to come down to EnerCom Dallas, set up a meeting with Eyal and his team. We'll include in the publisher's notes ways to get a hold of Eyal and Pioneer Energy. And Eyal, thank you so much, not only for the solutions that you're bringing to the industry and the courage to talk about what needs to be done, but thank you for your time today.
Hey, Dan, thank you. It's always a pleasure to visit on your show.
You bet. Thanks, Eyal. Have a great day.
Thank you.